fits correctly where we need it to fit. So if we put it in the center here, then let's see if we use the array modifier and turn on the subsurf. Perfect. That is exactly the pattern we wanted to go for. You can see. And now if we want this to be pushed out, more pushed out, let me make sure this sound is good. Okay, if you want this to be pushed out further, these cubes here, we can first turn off everything and select these edges, subdivide, and so we can join them like that. And push them out a bit. So let's turn on the array and the mirror, and maybe this, and then push them out like that. Now you see what we have. Turn on smooth, and we have something like that. Let's first see. I think there is some pinching going on around there, so let's examine that and see how we can fix that. So maybe if we merge that with that, we can remove that pinching you see there. Yeah, I think we can. So let's do that. So these outside corners should be merged like that. To avoid the pinching you see that was happening. Let's add. Okay, then we have this issue. So those patterns need to be there. So we need to come up with a different solution. So let's scale these in. So shifts. What direction is this? If we do this, can we reduce the pinching by doing that? Yeah, I think that's good enough. So we can bring the pattern. If I turn off the subdivision surface, increase the pattern in this side. Actually, this side, I think about there. Now let's work on folding this. So to make this foldable, we are going to use, maybe I need to scale this in the X direction like this so that it fits the handbag. So to make this foldable, let me first make this a bit longer. Let me see. We have different. Let me first look at other reference images. I think there are two sides to it. So let's fold this. I think we need to increase the array count up here. So something like that. And we're going to use the simple deformer, so we can add a plane. Make sure it is the same scale as the object you're trying to deform. So, and also apply the, what is going on here? Oh, can delete these, we don't need them anymore. So make sure it's the same scale, and it's covering the entire object, so something like that, and apply the scale and rotation. Now we need to add in a few loops here, maybe about 3 in the middle, like that, and we need to bind the two. So when you're binding, make sure that there is little separation between the two objects. So I can select this object and then add the simple the surface deformer and select our plane as the deformer, like that, and then hit bind to bind the two objects. Now if we start editing this, you can see it is linked to the other objects. So now let's see how to bend this here. So there are few ways you can just edit this directly. Maybe turn on proportional editing. And move these around until you get the shape you're looking for. You can see these bends will bend right. And if you hide the object, turn on subdivision surface. Subdivision surface here. Make sure this is after the bind, not before the bind. You can see that that binds well. But the problem is with editing the deformer mesh, I kind of it will stretch the pattern, and that's not something we want. So let's undo. Ctrl Z. So instead of using that, we are going to use the simple deform on this object. Change this to bend, and we can bend this. Let's see, and you can use the limit to change where the bend is supposed to be. Instead of manipulating the settings directly here, I'm going to add an empty so that this process is more easier. I'll add it around there. Select our mesh and select our empty as the axis. So this will make it easier for us to control where the bend is. Now we can come in and play around with the limit setting. Maybe the angle as well. Sometimes it's really hard to work with this bend modifier, with the bend modifier, so you need to play around with it a little bit to figure out how it works. So I think this is good enough. There's some bit of stretching here, so let's try playing around with the limit method. Let's see. You know what? Let me turn off this simple deformer because it's messing with. It's really hard to figure out how it works. So let's try something different. Let's use a curve instead of that. So if we create a curve, 90 degree, I'll rotate it. So we're going to be using this as our deformer. So I'll select, let me hide. And I think if we are using the curve, we don't even need to use this surface deformer, so we can delete that and also delete our plane. And can use Shift S cursor to selected, and then Shift S selection to cursor, and then add a curve deformer, and then select the curve as our surface. Now we just need to figure out the angle. Okay, so that's what we have. Negative should be the negative value. So yeah, now we can come and edit the curve into the shape of the bag. So if you go to edit mode and hit Alt C, you will open up the curve. Now we can rotate it so that it's facing down like that. And now we can move this in the X direction. Let me see the reference image here. I'll save this. So this is a bit smaller here, then expands in a bit, expands out a bit. Hello Dibsiful, hello dude, great tutorials always. Thank you, man, thank you. We need to rotate this a bit, so I'll change this to aligned. So I think this is a good shape here. I think it's too long, and so if it's too long, we just come into the array and reduce the count. Let me move this in the Z, yeah, the Z direction like that. So the direction you move the object will be dependent on how your object is rotated. So yeah, it might be different to what I'm using. So let's see how this looks. So I think now we can apply the curve deformation, but just to be safe, we can make a duplicate of this, remove everything. So that's our pattern, and you can put it somewhere else, hide it, do whatever you want, so that in case you mess up this mesh, you can always go back to the pattern that you have. So we have that. Can bring this down. I think this also needs to be extended. Let's bring in our reference here, push it back. I think this needs to be extended one pattern. Yeah, I think around there, to have something like that. And now I think we can apply the curve. Oh yeah, before you apply the curve, you need to start applying everything from up to the bottom. So we need to apply the array, and then the second array, and then the curve. Now we can delete the curve, and this is our pattern. We can switch off the subdivision surface because it kind of slows down my PC when I'm working, so I'll just remove that. And if we look at the reference image here, I think we can use the mirror modifier here, so that we only have to deal only with one side. So let's select thing up to there, delete those vertices. We can set this loop here, Shift S, cursor to selected, origin to 3D cursor, then turn on the mirror modifier.